sometimes the idea that you need to look cool or that you need to look like you've got everything figured out, you've got all the answers, you're not nervous, right? You're confident, you're in control. Sometimes that is just because of your cultural background. It's because the way you were raised and the way things are done and thought about in your country or in your family, right? In episode 59, we talked about how culture can sometimes be a form of mental prison that keeps you from developing as a person. Because if you were raised in an environment where making mistakes and looking inexperienced was frowned upon, it wasn't seen very positively, then learning new skills might be unnecessarily stressful for you because, as Bryant said in the video clip, you have to embrace or accept the fact that you will rarely look like an expert while you're trying to become an expert. Those two things almost never happen at the same time. So if you're afraid of looking like a beginner, making mistakes in front of other people, and being corrected by someone who knows more than you, then you're almost guaranteed to remain at a beginner level for much longer than necessary. And like I said before, this is the main thing that holds people back. It's not that English is super complicated or impossible to learn. It's not that there aren't resources to help you learn more effectively. And it's not that people don't live in an English-speaking country. It's the simple fact that people are deathly afraid of being seen trying. That's really what it is. And what I find even more interesting is that people tend to be much more patient with children who are learning skills. Have you ever seen someone make fun of a 6-year-old child who's learning how to tie his shoes? Have you ever seen someone get mad at a child for not knowing something he hasn't learned yet? And for those of you listening that have kids, I'm sure you found yourself getting frustrated with your children for making obvious mistakes and then immediately having to remind yourself that they're just children and it's your responsibility to teach them the things that they don't know yet. So why don't we treat adults this way? Why aren't we empathetic with ourselves? It's not like we stop learning after we pass a certain age, right? Actually, most of us do stop learning after a certain age, and it's at least partially because we've been trained to think that adults are supposed to have everything figured out. We're supposed to have all the answers, know all the skills, and project this image of perfection so that we aren't looked down on by our peers. And this is sheer fucking stupidity. This is dumb. So many of us are walking around like we've got something to prove to other people because we have a biological need for the approval of other people. And although the desire for the approval of others can be very beneficial, personally, I prefer not to let it govern all of my decisions and behavior, especially when I'm trying to learn new things and become a better version of myself.